Welcome to another study style session. We are looking at category 3 Czech Lager, starting with subcategory 3A Czech Pale Lager. As a reminder, in these study style sessions, what we do is go through the entry in the BJCP beer guidelines. I pause the recording. I fill out a score sheet for the example beer that I have with me for this session. Come back and go over my evaluation. I encourage you to do the same when the pause comes up on screen. Pause the playback, evaluate your beer, and follow along. So, all right, again, Czech Pale Lager, subcategory 3A. Let's start where we always do with the vital statistics. For 3A, we have an original gravity of 1.028 to 1.044, a final gravity of 1.008 to 1.014, IBU range of 20 to 35, an SRM range of 3 to 6, and an ABV range of 3 to 4.1%. Okay. Overall impression in the guidelines for 3A Czech Pale Lager reads, a lighter-bodied, rich, refreshing, hoppy, bitter pale Czech lager having the familiar flavors of a stronger Czech Premium Pale Lager, Pilsner type in parentheses, beer, but in a lower alcohol, lighter bodied, and slightly less intense format. All right, now the things that we are going to be looking for when we evaluate our beer, starting with aroma. An aroma reads light to moderate bready, rich malt combined with a light to moderate spicy or herbal hop bouquet. The balance between the malt and hops may vary. Faint finish of caramel is acceptable, light but never intrusive diacetyl and light fruity esters optional, no sulfur. Going on to appearance, light yellow to deep gold color, brilliant to very clear, a long-lasting creamy white head. And for flavor for Czech Pale Lager, medium low to medium bready rich malt flavor with a round hoppy finish, low to medium high spicy or herbal hop flavor, bitterness is prominent but never harsh, flavorful and refreshing. Low diacetyl or fruity esters are optional, but should never be overbearing. And then finally, the last characteristic of mouthfeel. Mouthfeel reads medium light to medium body, moderate carbonation. Okay, so we do have some commercial examples of this, and it's on the screen now. And as you can see, they are difficult to pronounce, save for one. And it's probably standing out like a sore thumb which one. So I'm not going to try to pronounce these because I'm just going to slaughter them. And I don't mean any disrespect to any of these beers. So I will let you look at them on the screen right now. So, okay. Having said that, you might recognize that a lot of these you may have never seen them before. And this is what I was talking about in the initial session or a lesson of this session, is when sometimes it's going to be difficult to find a commercial example that's listed in the guidelines. And this category 3 is a almost perfect example of that. Almost all of the beers listed, except for this one you're seeing now and one in Pale Premium that I can think of off the top of my head, are just not found at least in this area of the United States, possibly in the United States, period. So in this case, I set out to see if I could find a commercial example that wasn't in the guidelines before I made that jump to buying a beer that knew was out of style. And I lucked out. I found what I believe this is pronounced Platan. I'm probably way off on that. I'm pronouncing it phonetically. It says right on the bottle, product of Czech Republic. It's listed as a pale Czech lager at I don't even want to call it a liquor store. It's like a liquor superstore that I go to that I had it. So I do believe I have a commercial example. It's not one that's listed in the guidelines, but at least I have something that my memory is going to be able to refer to if I get this style on my judging exam. And right now, what I'm going to do, what I usually do, I do have my style study card right here. I'm going to pour a sample. I'm going to give my initial observations and see how it compares to what I should be finding. And then I'm going to go give it a full evaluation of the full score sheet. So, whoops. So let's open up the bottle and there we go. Nice hiss that one I know came out on mic. And let's pour it here. I forgot to hold it up to the camera as I pour. There we go. Kind of stopped and started there. It's a bigger bottle than usual, so I'm having trouble finding where to put it. I guess it's just going to be in camera. Let's at least put the label out. Let's give it some free advertising if we're going to do that. Okay, so going right off the appearance, it's very clear. It's not quite as crystal brilliantly clear as I expected from what I just read, but it's clear. It's not hazy. It's not quite cloudy. I think one step like backwards, and it would be bordering on murky or cloudy, but not fully hazy, but still clear. It's definitely, I would call that gold. How's that coming up on camera? It's for once the camera's kind of showing what I'm seeing. Usually the color does not match on this camera. And the head poured fairly well. It was about low medium head, but it has fallen very quickly. It does have a complete covering of bubbles, which I think you can see. I don't want to dump beer all over my control panel here, but there you can kind of see there's bubbles on top of that. All right, so let's go into the aroma. Oh, there's a very rich, distinct aroma that I associate with Czech lagers, a few that I have, the pale lagers. It's not the sulfur. It's a lager. It's a characteristic that usually only comes out in lager yeast fermentations. I really should find a better way to describe that so I can put it on my score sheet. Words aren't quite coming to me. I do get a little bit of malty breadiness, little bit of earthiness, there's a definite alcohol presence without it being too overwhelming. And yeah, there's that distinct aroma that I need to kind of better define as I go along here. So I'll try to figure that out before the next recording, because I know for a fact the beer we'll be doing there has that same aroma. All right, let's go on to taste. That's got a very pleasant bitterness, a very distinct bitterness, followed by a sweet malt, a little bit of graininess to it, a little bit of slightly doughiness to it as well. Hop flavors are kind of earthy and floral. That bitterness is it's strong, but it's not harsh. It's actually quite pleasant. I tend to like a firm, non-aggressive bitterness, and this has that a lot. This is actually the type of bitterness I'd like to say have in any kind of beer that has a bitter backbone to it. Mouthfeel, it's actually... I'd say it's probably definitively medium. It's definitely not watery, and it's definitely not full or thick or chewy. I'd say it's medium bodied. Carbonation is actually quite nice. No real astringency. There's a perception of a mimicking of astringency from that bitterness, but I would not call that astringent at all. All right. Let's take a look here. Here we go. Making sure I got the right card this time. I have been known to pull the wrong card, but let's see. Aroma. Light to moderate, bready, rich malt. Yes, I think I got some of that. Light to moderate, spicy or herbal hop. Yeah. Faint hint of caramel is acceptable. Did not get anything like that. Light diacetyl and light fruity esters optional. Didn't get anything like that as well. No sulfur. No sulfur on my end. Still need to figure out. I guess it's a distinctively lager yeast character, I could say, if I can't find the right words I'm looking for. I'll have to work on that, like I said earlier. Appearance. Light yellow to deep gold. It's gold. Brilliant to very clear. Actually, I think it's a little short on very clear. I think it's just flat out clear. I don't think I would say very. It's definitely not brilliant. Long-lasting creamy white head. Did not last long. Was creamy white on pour. I will definitely say that. Flavor. Medium low to medium bread. Rich malt. Yes. Rounded hoppy finish. Yeah. Okay. I'd say that's where the hops came out in the finish. Low to medium high spicy or herbal hop. I definitely was getting some floral and herbal hop. Prominent bitterness, not harsh. Yes, that is exactly what I was describing without even remembering this being one of the notes. That is exactly what I was tasting. Low diacetyl or fruity esters optional. Didn't get any of that. Mouthfeel, medium light to medium body, and moderate carbonation. Yep. Yeah, I would say it's medium bodied. It's on the outside range of those two things, and the carbonation, like I said, is perfect for this style. All right, I'm going to give myself a repour because I do have quite a bit left in this bottle, and I'm going to fill out a standard score sheet and come back and review it. So I'm going to pause it now. You pause the playback, fill out your score sheet, and we'll meet back here in 12 minutes or less. Alrighty, I am back. I have my completed score sheet. There it is. Everything complete. I think we're starting to learn the importance of that now, I hope. If not, have no fear. I'll repeat it another 50 times before it's all said and done. And I have leftover beer to toast at the end of this because actually, well, not to spoil the lead, but I really enjoyed this beer. Okay, let's get into it. Aroma. I have a distinctive lager fermentation aroma. Never quite put my finger on what that is other than that sentence. And I probably spent the most time in aroma trying to figure that out. So that's something I'm going to have to do offline. Hopefully somewhere down the line when we get into some more pale lagers here, I'll be able to better describe that, find the words like I was just struggling there to find. But since for lack of not having any descriptor there, that's what I went with. Okay, went on to say light floral and earthy hop note, light to moderate bready, grainy, sweet malt aromas, light but noticeable alcohol presence, a faint wild herb-like note as the sample warmed up, and I give it a 10 out of 12. So appearance, rich gold color, fairly clear but bordering on cloudy, medium low creamy white head on pour that fell to a light dusting of tiny defined bubbles, and I give that a 2 out of 3. And kind of in hindsight, it was kind of 2 strikes. Wasn't as clear as it should be, and the head didn't stand, so it probably should have been maybe a 1 out of 3. But I gave it a 2 out of 3. Gonna lock it in for this recording. Flavor, I said a firm, distinct, smooth bitterness on the tongue that lingers into the aftertaste. Sweet malt notes with light to medium light grainy and bready flavors, light to medium light floral and herbal hop character, distinct bitter and sweet malt characters balanced well. And I gave that an 18 out of 20. On to mouthfeel, medium bodied, moderate carbonation level providing a pleasant carbonic bite, a very faint alcohol warmth, a moderate cream-like texture, no direct astringent character, though bitterness gives a false perception of astringency, and that's a 5 out of 5. And then finally, in the overall impression, a well-made, well-crafted beer. Malt flavor supports the prominent bitter character, a delicate floral hop presence rounds out the beer. Appearance is a bit less clear than expected for style. Head was a bit low and did not linger. A bit more of wheat or Carapils malt may improve the texture and head retention. Additional findings can help with the clarity. And I gave that an 8 out of 10. Giving it a 43, which is excellent, which this beer was excellent. Found this a very good example of style. I'm glad I found it. I was glad to have this now in the recesses of my mind if I get this on my tasting exam. And just to round out the score sheet, I did circle that range, and I did fill out that matrix and gave all the highest check mark boxes on that. All right. That is it. I don't have really anything else to say about that. I think I was very lucky in finding a actual Czech Pale Lager. I hope you were as well. If you weren't, still worth going through the exercise of learning how to judge a out-of-style beer. We're going to be doing that this category. And like I said, like I said in the opening video of this series, if nothing else, know these as well as the back of your hand, so that if you don't have a muscle memory or an experience memory, I think is maybe a better descriptor for that, of having tasted an example of the style, at least you know what you should be tasting and you have something to judge it against. And that's better than going in completely clueless of what that beer should be. All right. That is it. The Czech Pale Premium Lager is next. So let's go on to the next study style video.